Okay, 6 o'clock, I'm going to call the meeting to order. Let me start out the meeting by having a roll call. Ken?
Dan Sherman.
Dan Thomas.
Michael Winter.
Bob Hay.
Eric Shepherd.
And we have one board member who's not present. Jose. Okay. And I'm going to explain in a minute what that means if it comes up. Let me talk about a couple things. First of all, Happy New Year, everyone. I appreciate everybody being here
Happy New Year.
on short notice. And obviously, this is a special meeting of the Board of Directors of the Palm Beach Plantation Board of Directors. It's a special meeting. So we're here to talk about issues regarding the position of treasurer. And that's a pretty broad issue, and I'll tell you why it's broad. This is, first of all, this meeting is not about a removal of a director, okay? So any rumors that are swirling, any, positions that people are taking here in writing, orally, this is not about removal of the director. That can't be done by this 8-9 person board of directors, okay? So that's not what we're here about is discussing removing somebody from this board. What we're talking about are the, let's call it 25 to 30 or so emails that I've received as the board president, copying some of the members of the board, including Wanda and they've obviously been to me. Some folks on this board have received emails and have forwarded them to me. Some have sent directly to some of the officers. They come from former board members. They come from former committee members. They come from residents. And the tenor of the emails are that there's a lot of issues out there that people are concerned about. KS's background, and the reason I called this meeting is because my understanding at the annual meeting is that this board was elected to take action. Like, we were put into office to get things done and to run this community. And we obviously aren't able to do that with everybody bringing up the past, looking in the rearview mirror. And so as the board president, I've made a decision to call this meeting now, as quickly as possible, to get this behind us, because we have things we have to do. Like, I can't sit back and wait another month and have people writing things and rumor mongers out there, writing things and just making personal attacks on members of my board, and us not getting our job done. And so the point is that there was an original agenda that went out last that had some information in it. The agenda that you have for this meeting is much broader. It's about all issues regarding the position of treasurer, and we're going to get everything out on the table tonight, and we're going to be done with it, because that's the point of this meeting. That's the sole point of this meeting. If you came here to talk about anything else, we're not here to listen to it. We'll have another meeting in January, and that meeting will be on the web, and you can participate, and we'll have public comment and all of that. But this is about dealing with the issues that have been brought to my attention and to other members of this board about the treasurer position. So that's the context. Let me establish, let me further the context for those of you who weren't present at the annual meeting. The annual meeting happened on the 10th of December. Immediately after the election, we were, in my opinion, we were kind of told that we had to have an organizational meeting immediately after the election, which is not true, because the bylaws say we had 10 days to do it, okay? So we went into the organizational meeting immediately, and that's when everybody made their appointments, okay? So that's sort of the genesis of how all this started, where the appointments were made. That's where I, unfortunately or fortunately, whichever way you look at it, became president. That's where all these people up here became vice president, treasurer, secretary. It happened immediately after the annual meeting. You know, and since that point in time, there has been a lot of raising by folks in writing of a lot of personal sensitive information. And a lot of the personal sensitive information is being disseminated by people that shouldn't be doing it because they signed a code of conduct. And their former board members, or their former committee members, or their current committee members, or their current board members. And you sign a code of conduct, and you have no business talking about somebody's personal information that you learned while you were a board member or a committee member in the public. Okay? This is an HOA, and we're supposed to focus on running in the sunshine. But I have a real problem with somebody who sat on a committee and is using the information they learned from that committee in the public to try to castigate, make fun of, and throw rocks at people that are sitting on this dais voluntarily for no money. I have a real problem with that. And that's not something that's going to continue. Because I'm telling you right now, I don't know if Dawn had to deal with this when she was on the board, but my way of dealing with it is the zero tolerance policy on code of conduct violations. If you're violating the code of conduct and I think that you found out, and I've got proof that you found out something by way of the committee or by way of sitting on a board, and you sign that code of conduct, I'm going to hold you accountable immediately. And you're going to get a letter from this board and from the attorney, and you're going to have to stop using the information because it's not right. The other thing is I know there's a lot of stuff out there about bankruptcy, right? Everybody I hear talks about, well, you know, our treasurer had filed bankruptcy in the past. Well, you know, there's a lot of people that have filed bankruptcy. There are a lot of people that have financial problems. And the bottom line is that there's a specific federal law against discriminating against people that have filed bankruptcy in the past. You can't discriminate against them because they're past. That's the point of a fresh start. That's the point of looking forward and not looking in the rearview mirror. Now, I know I'm preaching to the choir because a lot of people that are here at this meeting are here to vent about that particular issue. What I would tell you is think very carefully about whether you signed a code of conduct and whether you should be using that kind of information and where you learned it. Okay? Let me tell you what we've done a little bit of since we've been installed, because I think this is important with respect to the treasurer position. You know, I came to this board, I didn't have a lot of involvement with a lot of these people. In fact, I don't even know if I knew anybody on this board before I started the election process and started campaigning. But since, you know, we started talking about things in November and that went through into the annual meeting, and then our positions were put into place, you know, we've gone through, we've signed checks. There's 2 signers for each check. I've signed the checks, KS has signed the checks. I've reviewed all the backup, we've signed checks. We're doing business, right? That's what we do. The point is that there are checks and balances on every single thing that we do. Christine doesn't do anything without the president and me knowing about it. That's the way it's supposed to work. We are her customer, okay? And it comes through me. And so for anybody that's here in this audience that thinks that a treasurer is going to have free and open reign to write checks on any finances, it's not right. It's incorrect. It's wrong. Because I've seen it already. What I've also seen is that KS, in her role as treasurer, and by specific request from me and the folks that voted her into office, has been asked to do a complete audit of the books and records of this association. Regardless of what happens tonight, regardless of what's said, that review is going to be completed. And the results are going to be reported to me as the board president. And then if I believe that there are material items that need to be that there needs to be action that's taken on them, that will be taken. So that review is going to continue, and it must continue because that was one of the reasons why this lady was voted into office. She's also been very helpful in us setting up, which is going to be in January, the webcam for the January meeting. She took it on herself to do it. I didn't. I needed help. I've only got so many hours in the day. So that's something that she's responsible for. The bottom line is that there are going to be there already are a lot of internal controls for this association. We're looking at those. We're trying to strengthen those. But any idea that there isn't a check and balance on the treasurer position or the office of president or the office of vice president or the secretary, it's just not true. And so I wanted to put that out on the table because, you know, as a homeowner, I didn't know a lot of this stuff. And I didn't know a lot of this stuff until I became the president of the association, which is kind of trial by fire. And but I feel pretty comfortable about what we've done so far, and I want to commend KS for the review that she's done so far, because she's going to talk to you in a second about some of the things that she's discovered. And obviously, to the extent that there is an inclination by anybody on this board to make a motion about an appointment or removal or rescission of a motion or anything like that, we have to give the person who's the subject of that an opportunity to speak and to tell her side of the story. So, you know, I'm going to have KS give her side of the story right now. I'm going to give her enough time to do that. And when she's done, I'm going to ask if there's any action to be taken in this meeting. If not, then we're going to get out of here, because we're not going to waste our time here. So KS is going to go ahead and speak. We'll take questions before, if there is any action or any motion that's made, we'll take discussion from the audience at that time.
Will there be discussion before action?
That's the way this board is going to be run. Yes, David. Yes.
Okay, this is for everybody. One of the things I wanted to bring up is the Office of the Treasurer and some of the responsibilities that need to be broadened and strengthened. And unfortunately, I don't have a whole lot for the audience, but I have a couple. If you want to pass some of these around, maybe you might want to try. I really tried very hard to get this WebEx up. It's on my computer. I didn't have the connection, otherwise I would have. Now, some of the things that I've been finding, these are some of the things that I believe need to be strengthened here, as far as the Office of the Treasurer. I just want to pass this out. There needs to be two areas that I think are very important. And the first one is that we all know that the Officer of the Treasurer is responsible for keeping the records on all corporate matters, compliance with governing documents, financial reporting and analysis, accountability to the state and federal laws. The Treasurer is also responsible to prepare the budget that clearly reflects its upcoming activities, projects, annual and monthly operations, and clear identifications and variances in reserve collections. Now, the reserve collections are kind of important because, as we're told, they all comply with what we have in our asset reserve report. Some of the information, well, actually, I could just hand this out now. Here's some transactions that occurred that I found that caused me to try to strengthen the office. What we've seen here, specifically on the front page here, is about our mailboxes. Now, we had our mailboxes done, and oh, I need one. Oh, God. Okay, yeah, we'll just do the front page here. And I'm really sorry, I really intended to have this. So if you could share, but some of this is really important. What we see here, first of all, is when we did those mailboxes, we all agreed that we needed them done, and there's no issue or question on this expenditure of funds. It's the appearance and the way it was handled based on what our rules and governing documents require us to do. According to our asset reserve study, this was scheduled for 2015. For some reason, it was moved up to 2014. That, to me, right away raises the question, why would you move it up without putting it out there? The next thing that comes up is we took it out of our current account, and the reason it never showed up on any of our financial statements is because the way it was handled, for some reason, although they were paid, they took the expense and reported it under catastrophic capital improvements instead of an ordinary and necessary expense. So none of us would have seen that they currently spent those funds in this period, nor would we have known that they escalated it out of where they were taking our reserves, which is what they tell us they do. You know, we take the reserves and we put it away and we make sure that it's accounted for. But by not allowing us to see this transaction through our normal financial statement that you would expect to see so we can approve it, so we know what's going on, it immediately came off the books, never to hit the books, and went directly after that catastrophic, they call it the Catastrophic Capital Improvement Fund. Now, this fund is supposed to be used for catastrophic events. This is where you would expect something like the Weir that we spent $250,000 to come out of. This is why the board has been telling us for years, well, we need reserves. You know, we have to collect them. We don't tell you on a line item that we're collecting them. But as far as I'm concerned, if you're, excuse me?
Excuse me, please refrain from any side discussions during the meeting. If you need to discuss it, please step outside.
Okay, so rather than allow us to see it, it's hidden from view. And so, as far as I'm concerned, this would never, ever happen again. And the controls that I'm asking for to be adopted at this meeting would prevent something like this from happening. The other thing you'll see on here are there are two transactions.